Waaq and the spirit of duality harmony in ancient Cushitic beliefs. Welcome to History of the Queer, where we uncover the sacred, the silenced, and the forgotten. Today we travel to the Horn of Africa, to a time before colonial borders, before churches or mosques, to the people who looked up at the endless sky and saw balance instead of division. They called that sky Waaq. Long before the Horn of Africa was divided by borders, faiths, and foreign empires, there was one vast sky. And under that sky, the Cushitic peoples, the Oromo, the Somali, the Afar, the Sidama, whispered a single name: Waaq. Waaq was not a god of thunder or jealousy. Waaq was the sky itself, eternal, unbroken, vast enough to hold every contradiction. Neither male nor female. Waaq was both and neither, the breath that creates and the breath that sustains. Some Oromo elders once said Waaq had two breaths, one masculine, one feminine, forever intertwined, giving life to all things that walk and all things that dream. To them, this was not strange. The divine could be more than one thing at once. They did not fear duality. They honored it. The Ayana spirits of many faces. In that sacred order lived the Ayana spirits of Waaq's creation. They came in countless forms, some gentle, some fierce, some male, some female, and others impossible to name. Among the Oromo, it was believed that a person might be born under a dual Ayana, carrying both masculine and feminine essence within. Such souls were not outcasts. They were gifted, often becoming healers, prophets, or poets, people who could bridge worlds that others kept apart. For them, gender was not a boundary. It was a path to wisdom. The priests of balance, Waaq's priests, the Kalu and Kaliti, embodied this sacred harmony. They led rituals that honored fertility and strength, earth and sky, war and peace. Men could channel nurturing power. Women could wield spiritual authority. Their garments and symbols reflected harmony, not rebellion, reminders that creation depends on balance. But time, like the desert wind, changed everything. When new religions came, first Islam, then Christianity, then the empires of Europe, Waaq was called pagan. The Ayana were named demons, and the ancient wisdom of duality was branded sin. Colonial priests wrote of superstition, missionaries taught shame, and the people who once danced between worlds learned to hide the fluidity that once made them whole. The sky remains, yet the name of Waaq did not die. Even today in the Oromia highlands, the faithful still whisper Waaqayyo when they pray. Among the Somali, the word Ibe still means God. And among those who remember, Waaq is still the sky, untouched, unbothered by the labels of men. It is important to say this clearly. Waaqism was not queer in the modern sense. It did not describe or celebrate same-sex love or sexual orientation. But it did recognize a truth that modern society often struggles with, that divinity and humanity are both balanced and fluid. In Waaq's universe, to be whole was to hold opposites, sun and rain, life and death, man and woman, and to understand that harmony, not hierarchy, was divine. Gender was not an identity to fight for, but a rhythm to live within. So when we look back at Waaq, we do not see a god bound by gender, nor a queer god by today's terms. We see a god who transcended it, a god who embodied the infinite, who showed that creation itself lives in balance between all things. Long before the West gave names to fluidity or duality, Africa had already spoken them, not as rebellion, but as reverence, because identity did not begin with politics or pride. It began in the sky with Waaq, the eternal, the balanced, the infinite. Historical notes. Waaq, also spelled Waka, Waka, or Ibe, was the principal deity worshipped by the Cushitic peoples of the Horn of Africa, Oromo, Somali, Afar, Sidama, etc., before the spread of Abrahamic religions. In Oromo cosmology, Waaq was a sky god associated with balance, fertility, and justice, not limited to one gender. The concept of Ayana refers to divine spirits or life forces through which Waaq interacts with the world. Some Ayana were understood as dual or beyond gender classification. Kalu and Kaliti, the male and female priests of Waaqism, often performed roles that crossed traditional gender norms, embodying both strength and nurture. Scholars like Asmarom Leges, Lambert Bartels, and Gemechu Megersa have documented this balance-centered theology within Oromo traditional belief systems. Waaqism's ideas of gender duality are spiritual, not sexual. They reflect a worldview of cosmic equilibrium, not modern ideas of queerness. References: Bartels, Lambert. Oromo religion, myths and rites of the Western Oromo of Ethiopia, an attempt to understand. Franz Steiner Verlag, Wiesbaden, 1983. Legesse, Asmarom. Gada, Three Approaches to the Study of African Society. The Free Press, 1973. Megersa, Gemechu. Knowledge, Identity, and the Colonizing Structure. The Case of the Oromo in East and Northeast Africa. PhD dissertation, University of London, 1993. Trimingham, J. Spencer, Islam in Ethiopia. Oxford University Press, 1952. Hassan Mohammed, The Oromo of Ethiopia. A History, 1570-1860. Cambridge University Press, 1990.